If you are holding out for a budget-friendly desktop upgrade this year, I have some fascinating, slightly frustrating news that will fundamentally change your entire purchasing strategy. Right now, with WWDC 2026 just weeks away, Apple is pulling off one of the most brilliant, albeit cheeky, pricing maneuvers we have seen in the tech industry in years, and it all revolves around the highly anticipated M5 Mac Mini. If you have been paying close attention to the Apple Store lately, you might have noticed something quietly missing from the digital shelves. That aggressively priced $599 base model of the M4 Mac Mini, the one with the notoriously anemic 256 GB of storage, has vanished into the digital ether. It is currently marked as unavailable across the board, and Apple has effectively raised the starting price of their entry-level desktop to $799 for the 512 GB version. This is not a simple supply chain error or a temporary stock shortage. According to highly reliable supply chain sources, this orchestrated disappearance is deliberately setting the stage for what is coming at the Worldwide Developers Conference this June. We are looking at a masterclass in consumer psychology disguised as an inventory update. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why Apple killed their cheapest Mac, what the leaked M5 specifications actually mean for your daily workflow, and why your next desktop purchase might cost more, even if it feels like a discount. To understand the M5 Mac Mini, we first have to understand the genius of Apple's current pricing trick. By silently eliminating the $599 M4 model right now in May of 2026 and forcing eager buyers to look at a $799 starting price for a 512 GB machine, Apple is strategically resetting our baseline expectation. When June rolls around and Tim Cook stands on the WWDC stage to announce the brand new M5 Mac Mini starting at $699, the crowd will undoubtedly cheer. It will feel like a $100 discount compared to what is currently sitting on the store shelves today. In reality, it is a definitive $100 price hike over the previous generation's entry point. It is a brilliant, slightly devious bit of marketing. They are forcing the 512 GB storage tier as the new baseline, making you pay for the upgrade whether you specifically asked for it or not. But here is the genuine truth. This could actually matter because, in the grand scheme of things, $699 for a machine with this upcoming level of baseline performance, 16 GB of unified RAM, and a 512 GB drive is still a staggeringly good value that leaves Windows competitors scrambling. It just stings a bit to see the sub-$600 desktop era officially come to a close. Now, let us dive into the physical hardware, starting with the design, because that is the easiest part of the equation to digest. Do not expect any radical shifts in the chassis this year. The 2026 M5 Mac Mini is expected to retain the exact same 5x5-inch minimalist aluminum footprint introduced during the much-needed redesign in late 2024. For those of us who value a clean desk, this is genuinely excellent news. It remains a space-saving powerhouse that makes standard bulky PC towers feel increasingly archaic. However, beneath that familiar shell, the internal architecture is getting a monstrous upgrade that puts high-end workstations from just 3 years ago to shame. According to leaked specifications from reliable industry analysts, we are looking at two distinct processing tiers that cater to vastly different users: the standard M5 chip and the incredibly beefy M5 Pro. The standard M5 is expected to feature an 8 to 10 core CPU combined with a 10 to 12 core GPU. This represents a solid, undeniable 25 to 30% bump in raw CPU performance over the current M4 generation. For everyday users, software developers, and standard video editors, this translates to rendering timelines snapping to attention and applications opening with zero perceptible latency. And thankfully, gone are the days of the 256 GB drive, and quite frankly, good riddance. A 256 GB drive in 2026 is about as useful as a chocolate teapot if you are dealing with modern 4K video assets, raw photography, or massive localized datasets. But what is genuinely interesting here, and what should make power users sit up and take notice, is the M5 Pro variant. The M5 Pro reportedly introduces a completely new fusion architecture that combines two separate silicon dies into a single unified system on a chip. It is expected to pack an 18-core CPU featuring 6 high-performance super cores and 12 standard performance cores. What is fascinating about this approach is that Apple is essentially replacing traditional low-power efficiency cores with raw, unadulterated performance cores for this specific tier. This setup is designed specifically for heavy multi-threaded professional workloads where sustained performance is far more critical than sipping battery power. If you are regularly compiling massive codebases or handling dense 3D rendering tasks, this architecture is built to cut your waiting times in half. Furthermore, industry sources indicate Apple is implementing significantly faster SSD controllers across the board that could deliver read speeds up to 50% faster than the current M4 storage performance. Add in support for cutting-edge connectivity like Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thunderbolt 5 on the Pro models, which offers a blistering 80 to 120 gigabits per second of bandwidth, and you have a seriously future-proofed machine. You could theoretically daisy-chain multiple high-resolution displays and massive external RAID arrays without hitting a single bandwidth bottleneck. You might be asking yourself why anyone needs that much horsepower and bandwidth in a box the size of a stack of drink coasters. The answer, predictably for 2026, is artificial intelligence. Apple is positioning the entire M5 family heavily around on-device AI performance, promising up to 4 times the AI processing power compared to the M4 thanks to a completely redesigned neural engine. Right now, we are seeing a massive explosion of professionals running local large language models directly in their home offices. We are talking about running complex models like Llama 370B or Mistral 14B entirely locally, keeping proprietary company data secure and entirely avoiding exorbitant recurring cloud subscription fees from corporate tech giants. This is where Apple's hardware architecture gives them an unfair advantage. The Mac Mini's unified memory architecture allows the CPU, GPU, and neural engine to share the exact same massive memory pool. A PC user would need to buy a profoundly expensive, power-hungry dedicated graphics card with massive RAM just to load these models, whereas the Mac Mini can allocate its unified memory dynamically. It makes this tiny aluminum square shockingly competent for AI development and local inferencing compared to traditional Windows PCs that rely on heavily segmented, expensive RAM sticks. Let us pivot to some analysis and smart insights, because my job is to protect your wallet and tell you what is completely believable here versus what might be pure marketing fluff designed to sell you an upgrade you do not genuinely need. The sheer computing power and the 25 to 30% CPU gains are incredibly believable. Apple Silicon has consistently delivered on its raw performance metrics year over year. However, the claim of 4 times the AI power should be taken with a moderate grain of salt. That figure is highly likely referencing very specific, heavily optimized neural engine tasks like localized video upscaling or native background blurring, not a blanket 4-fold increase across every single machine learning application or third-party LLM you throw at it. It is the classic tech industry parlor trick. Cherry-pick the most flattering specific metric and print it in a massive bold font on the keynote slide. Let us separate the reality from the distortion field. If you are a video editor working daily in DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro, you need to be brutally honest with yourself about your specific workflow. The standard M5, paired with its new 16 GB of baseline memory, is going to chew through standard 4K footage, complex color nodes, and multiple audio tracks without breaking a sweat. If you are mostly cutting standard YouTube videos, corporate talking head content, or doing light graphic design, paying the massive premium for the M5 Pro might be entirely overkill. It is quite literally like buying a turbocharged Range Rover just to drive down the street to fetch the Sunday paper. Yes, it will absolutely get you there, but you are barely tapping into what the complex machinery was built to accomplish. On the flip side, if you are regularly dabbling in heavy 3D rendering in Blender, color grading uncompressed 8K RAW files, or running heavy local AI SI emulations, the M5 Pro's Fusion architecture and Thunderbolt 5 connectivity will pay for itself in saved rendering time alone. When you compare this proposition to the current PC market, it puts traditional manufacturers and premium mini PC makers in a very tight spot. A comparable Windows Mini PC with equivalent RAM and an SSD might look cheaper on paper. But the moment you factor in the fan noise, the inevitable thermal throttling, and the stark lack of unified memory for AI tasks, the value proposition crumbles. Apple knows they have a monopoly on power-efficient performance, which is exactly why they feel confident enough to play these psychological pricing games with the baseline model. They are fully aware that once you are locked into the ecosystem and experiencing this level of frictionless performance, you are highly unlikely to jump ship to a noisy, power-hungry desktop alternative, regardless of a $100 price hike. The hardware simply gets out of your way and lets you work. To summarize the most important takeaways as we head toward the summer, the M5 Mac Mini is heavily rumored to officially drop at WWDC in June 2026. It will wisely maintain the brilliant, compact 5x5-inch design of the 2024 model but will introduce significantly faster SSDs across the board, greatly enhanced local AI capabilities, and a completely redesigned, remarkably powerful M5 processor family. The absolute entry price is taking a hike to $699. But you are finally getting a very usable 16 GB of RAM and 512 GB of base storage in return. Apple's stealthy move to quietly kill the cheaper M4 model right now in May is a highly calculated strategy to make that new price point seem much more palatable when the curtain finally lifts next month. Ultimately, despite the pricing games, this is shaping up to be one of the most compelling desktop machines on the market for professionals who demand extreme power without the massive, heat-generating footprint of a traditional PC tower. If you appreciate this kind of no-nonsense, grounded analysis over the usual generic tech hype, do make sure to drop a like, leave a thoughtful comment, and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps keep the lights on and allows us to keep digging through the supply chain noise to bring you the facts. Now I have to ask you directly, are you planning to pull the trigger on the M5 Mac Mini the second it launches at WWDC? Or are you sitting back with your current trusty setup, waiting to see if these new local AI features are actually worth the increased price of admission? Let me know exactly what your personal upgrade strategy is down in the comments below.